Alright, we're live. Excellent. I will actually be giving a few minutes. So welcome to another Full Circle. This is Full Circle Live. We got some news about Tharn CID. First, while we're waiting, apparently my connection is inconsistent. I do not know why. I'm a little annoyed at that. Do we need to close anything else? Alright, now we're in the green. Nope, now we're yellow. I don't know what's going on here. I think I closed all the things that would be using bandwidth. Sorry for the rambling if you're watching this later. I am recording this live, so I don't have the luxury of being as particular. For some reason, my OBS is indicating that my connection is pretty all over the place, but I don't know why. Quick glance at my router. Looks normal. Now we're in the green. We're literally all over the place, so I don't know. This might be because I'm recording when most people are getting home from work. Hopefully I'm coming through. If could just be random internet spikes. YouTube seems not to be upset with my my transmission, but OBS sure seems not thrilled by it. I'm gonna check to see if I have anything running that's clobbering it, but that's okay. We're gonna give a few minutes for folks to join, and then looks like it's probably Chrome causing all my issues. So one looks like I have a couple people joining already, so or one person. So to answer the question somebody asked, what spoilers do I have for us? Well, what I have is what they talked about during the dev chat today. So I just want to go over what they talked about at a high level, and then we'll talk about like implications as we go through it, basically. So I'll also try to capture like what they kind of presented as the why behind behind the changes as well. I'll just close a few more windows and see if that helps. Okay, so if you while you're watching, if you're noticing any sort of dip in quality, I am seeing now that Google's only moderately happy with me, or I say Google, I meant YouTube, showing kind of yellow here. Let me know so that I can keep trying to adjust things. I think I probably just need to kill my Chrome browser, to be honest, but I'm also using it right now, so that's trickier. I don't think that should be an issue. It could be Facebook, but yeah, so okay, we'll see, like I said, if anybody else pops in the chat here real quick, but I think if not, I will just start talking. More specifically, I've kind of killed many minutes. Dropping frames, but quality is good. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It says that I'm uploading at several kilobytes. I'm showing 30 frames per second here now, but I don't know. Might be something with my internet, so apologies. I'm gonna start pushing through. All right, as long as the audio is the important thing, I'm mostly talking. So I could try to kill all of this and see. I need this stuff. But anyway, yeah, we're just gonna try to power through here. I wanted to get this out, or I would probably, if I was recording, I would have just stopped and done it later. But since I want to do this live, we're gonna do it live. So anyways, today during the dev chat, we got some word that we were about what the changes are going to be for the Tharn CID. A few things different from lock and load. So I've got a couple live videos where we found out information about that. I went live during lock and load. Those are still available on the channel somewhere. Today they announced that we should TM, be starting the Tharn CID next Wednesday, a week from today, or a little less than a week from today at this point. It'll be in the morning. The Tharn CID will officially begin, barring some sort of natural disaster or any other nonsense, hopefully. So that's good, just off the bat. That's definitely good to hear. And today they sort of went over a few things from what they talked about, and these are all with what's the word I want to say? Existing models. That's not the word. Legacy. There we go. Legacy models. So one of the first things they talked about was they were still not thrilled with exactly where the survivability was for the Tharn Ravager chassis, the male Tharn basically. And so one of the changes they made to them, or that we're going to test with them, is rapid healing. And what rapid healing does is sorry, I showed no upload there for a minute. So anyways, what rapid healing does, hopefully again you're not losing too much quality here, sorry about that. Rapid healing does is if you are damaged by an attack, assuming you survive that attack, you will heal D3 damage. Meaning so the intent, and we'll talk about these as we go through. I'm not going to go through everything and then go back to it because I'll lose track of what I'm talking about. The intent of that is to reduce the efficacy of like POW 10 and POW 12 shooting into Ravagers. So as it is now, a POW 10 would cause a tough check on a 10. But realistically, it's kind of more that like 2 of them are likely to cause a tough check, and since there's a lot of units with that you can like pretty cheaply get POW 10 shooting, what this sort of means is you're not hopefully gonna see that sort of like chip damage is effective against them. So now if you think about it, a POW 10 is gonna shoot them, their armor 15, on average they're doing 2 or 3 damage, and on average they're healing 2 damage back. So crap, I'm still losing upload. The hell? Again, sorry, I'm just sort of watching my uploads. I don't know, I'm getting mixed signals and I don't know what's going on, so I'm just gonna keep trying to go through. The thing about it, and even with POW 12s, you need an 8 to cause a tough check, which is so the better way is to look at it overall, right? So what sort of rolls do you need to cause a tough check against a Ravager? And I did this against POW 12 because there was some debate in the Circle Facebook group earlier. But basically, it's somewhere in the like I don't have the stats that I did in front of me, but it's like 13% if you're like Rat 6 to cause a tough check. You're somewhere in you're somewhere in the like 20% range. No, it wasn't even that good. Was it that good? I don't know. I think you're in like the 20% range at Rat 7, and you're maybe at 30% at Rat 8. And then after that, you have Tough in there, right? Unless they have Grievous Wounds. So if you look at that, now you're gonna hit and kill a Ravager type model in the, let's call it 20% on average range, and then they have a tough check. I think it's 24% if you're Rat 7. So things are Rat 5 can aim to 7, etc., etc. And then you're gonna cause a tough check, and then they heal. If all of that succeeds, then they die. If not, you're gonna heal D3. That's if it's a POW 12. If it's a POW 10, you're just healing. Just to address some comments happening in the chat. Wise Up and pardon me, I'm gonna take a drink. About Vengeance being granted. I actually believe they talked at Lock and Load about that, and they actually start with granted. As when they give Vengeance to a unit, they start with it as granted and then move up. The reason they don't want to give them other bonuses is they're really just looking, and this is also thematic, right? Ravagers have that like physiological change that happens when they sort of rage out the models are actually representing in the form they are. And And then, so there's sort of also a thematic reason for it to be this rule. Blade Shield doesn't really make sense, for example. That was in the chat, because they don't have blades. They have axes for the most part. I realize that, like, it's an axe blade or whatever, but I don't think when we're thinking blades, most of the time people are thinking swords. So they do. I think they're already accounting for the fact that vengeance could go away, and I think they would prefer it be that way. No, I don't know why the Sentinels and Ret were treated differently in the transition from Mark II to Mark III, but, and yes, it is frustrating to have to keep the Shaman alive. This effect actually should make it so that you're going to have to put some meaningful effort into killing him, and since we can do a lot of stuff with, like, no knockdown tough, in what do I want to say? In the Ravager CID, I think this is a good change. It sort of fixes the issue they have. The thing is, they're not intended to be... Ravagers are not intended to be the tanky sort of sit in the middle of the field and survive all sorts of attacks type of models. They're still supposed to be fast, hard-hitting models. This is just to hopefully help them be a little bit more survivable against low POW shooting, which is what they want. I think it's a good change. I actually think Ravagers are pretty good even now, with and then adding Brutal Charge to them, as per heard of from the Lock and Load streams, is I think putting them in a pretty good place. I'll be certainly very interested to test them. I've usually played them with some kind of ranged buff, so I like adding this on top of it just means they're probably going to be pretty good. And this is all the male Tharn, so some of them have 8 wounds, and this is going to even be more particularly good against them, because usually when you're putting attacks into them, you're going to need a little bit more to actually kill them. So this is going to be a pretty good exchange. Pardon me. So anyways, I've spent kind of enough time on that. Right now, all of the as far as I know, Chromac is not getting this change. But anyways, male Tharn are getting going to start with rapid healing when we start the CID, and I think it's a good change, and I do think it will have the intended solution that they're looking for, at least off the top of my head. The next change, we're talking about the Tharn blood tracker. So they sort of talked a little bit about wanting to differentiate the role that each unit would have in the CID, and they didn't go into super detail because I guess Pagani put together they talked about differentiating. He's going to talk about it in more detail, but they did talk about that they see the blood trackers as sort of like the infiltration unit, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but the Wolf Riders is more of a flanking harassment unit. So just to jump back real quick, I think this is because the chat is a little bit behind where I'm at, so there's still some comments about the rapid healing, but I mean, I did just talk about, so there's some comment about if dying in one hit. Yes, they're still going to die in one hit, I think, from a boosted roll or a significant damage roll. But, I mean, I just went through the math on POW 10 and POW 12 shooting. Adding buffs to that will happen, but we can add buffs to their defense as well. So, yes. Also, to Matthew's point, they did say they thought the Shaman might not be getting it, but Pagani could not remember and clearly was under the effects of very little sleep from having had a baby recently. So, I guess let's wait and see on that, but they did say that it might not be getting it. I would say in an average game, they do not die to one hit in my experience. So, not to POW 10s and POW 12s. Or POW 12s more often, POW 10s not necessarily. It's the multitude of those, and this should help curtail that. But I'm going to move on at this point. So, anyways, blood trackers, they see them more as a unit that's designed to sort of like infiltrate stuff. I think that's sort of what they talked about. Anyways, we'll just get into the rules. So to that end, they're going to go down to 915 in points. I think that feels pretty appropriate for the other units in the game that are around that point value. They are also going to gain parry, again with the notion being that they are intended to sort of get behind the lines and sort of get to the thing that they're intended to get to, for lack of a better way to put it. So that's the base unit. Nuala is going to get a change I frankly didn't think they were going to go with, but she's going to lose Swift Hunter to gain, that was granted reposition 3, and then she's also going to get a mini feat that allows them to change their prey once per game. There's a lot of folks who are pretty shaky about this, including some of the developers. Parry means they can kind of get into a lot of places, and being able to cycle prey means that you can kind of get through lines, cycle prey to the caster, and have a pretty decent likelihood of being able to kill a lot of the casters in the game. So they're going to be watching this a little bit closely. I personally think the change is going to be fine off the top of my head. I know I read some commentary in the Discord from a few people who seem to feel that maybe it's too good as well. And I've seen a lot of comments that are sort of like, if you end within a certain distance of Kruger 2, it was like if you're within 16 inches of the unit and Kruger 2 can cast telekinesis at you, that you're dead, and there's some truth to that. But that's kind of always true if you're within like easy TK range of Kruger 2 and you don't think you can survive what you see in front of you. Like, you've already made great errors in strategy, in my opinion. So sorry, just trying to adjust the camera a little bit here. At the outset, I'm pretty excited about this change. I think it really gives the blood trackers back a different place. I think it means that they can be used, I don't want to say jam because they're not that survivable, but they can be used to really like go into weird places and get work done. Reposition 3 puts them back in a place where they're effectively looking like they're basically range 10. Is what that means, because you can be 10 inches away from the thing that you attacked, and this is good. Like, Swift Hunter is kind of good, but you have to kill a model, and that means that they're only going to go after other infantry models if they want to proc that. Reposition means that they can now sort of like go into some of the targets that they used to be good into. So like Legion Heavies, for example, used to be something you would often try to leverage your blood trackers into. So I think it's good to get that back. The mini feat to change the prey is phenomenal. One of the biggest things about prey being frustrating is at the beginning of the game, if you pick the wrong target or your opponent just doesn't give you a good target, that benefit can kind of be useless. And this unit sort of like, it's sort of a knife edge. They're rarely good without the prey, and they're very, very, very good with it. So I like that change up quite a bit. We'll see how they go. I think testing will show whether or not they're too good or not. I'm a little bit worried that people are already seeing like, oh my god, they're going to assassinate every caster ever, and not really analyzing it beyond that. And I really hope that they actually do make an effort to make sure they do that correctly. So anyways, moving on, since there's still a decent amount to get through, we're going to talk about the next two kind of all at once. The Wolf Riders and the Wolf Rider Champions. So the Wolf Riders are actually going to go up in points to 12 and 20. They're going to lose, but they're going to gain dual attack, backstab, and jump. So what that means, for some reason the notes that I copied from somebody don't have jump, or leap. It's called jump. It's called jump. So this is, and let's talk about the champion at the same time, so we can just talk about all this. She's going to point cost 7. As far as we know, that is unchanged from the notes from Lock and Load. She'll be losing Veteran Leader, Assault, and Quick Work. She will also gain dual attack, backstab, and she'll gain Prowl and Leadership Prowl. So I think she's command 8 or 9, or she was. So this is pretty massive. The goal here was to make a unit that was strong at flanking, which is something the game has not really had very strong options for doing. This is based on what the devs have said, that a lot of the units sort of designed to do this have not really been able to do that role or not good at it. I personally think, and they thought this too, but I personally think this is a pretty good look for doing that. So Backstab, if you're unfamiliar, if you're in the back arc, you get an additional die on attack and damage rolls. This is not typed to any of the attacks. They're still keeping Weapon Mastered, by the way. So, and dual attack leads to some really interesting ways to use the unit as well, since now you can be in melee and throw out of melee. It also means like you can charge, you're going to get extra threat on your throws. You kind of got that before anyways. Well, no, you're going to get 4 more inches of threat on the throw if you want, if you can charge, but you're also able to leap, so it's sort of a wash. What this does is you can use the jump to get into the back arcs a lot of the times. They're going to be very fast because a walk jump reposition is a 19-inch move. Prowl is incredibly strong. A lot of times on the flanks there is a forest you can hide them in to get stealth. Also, we have casters who have Fog of War, so it's going to make them a little bit harder to flank if you want to give them that, just because like Morvana's, actually Morvana's is bigger. Morvana's control area is 14 inches, and you may actually just purposefully want your Wolf Riders to be outside of 14 inches. We'll see as we play them, but you get all 3 attacks are going to get backstab, so if you can get that, if you can pull that off, you're going to be able to do a pretty substantial amount of damage. And it's very circle to me to like sort of have to, you get the damage if you can kind of work for it and put them in annoying places. Further, a lot of people are like, well, TK is obviously a synergy with this, right? You can turn them around, you're going to get these bonuses without as much effort, theoretically. But what you are going to be able to do is what I think is going to actually play out, and I need to play this before I know for sure, is because of the speed with which you're going to be able to run up the sides, if you can do that and sort of be out far enough, because of the maneuverability that they have, you're going to force your opponent to either have to like face his models outward or like even like completely sideways to not be getting back strikes maybe. And like that just means that the middle part, like the juicy middle of your army, is probably going to have a pretty good time. Like if you're moving like this is spreading them, it's probably going to be ultimately a good thing for you. So I really like this change. I really think that the change is going to be better to use them more than a few people were concerned that it's going to be hard to actually leverage the backstab. Obviously TK will make it easy. I think that you'll start finding that it's not that hard to get it, to leverage it. If you can get it and charge, that's sort of your ideal. I mean, obviously with the leap, you're going to get a lot of damage rolls, but if you can get it on the charge, obviously you're going to get 1 more die of damage in there. That's going to be pretty great. I think they're still going to take buffs really, really well. Prowl means you can hopefully use that to make them a little bit more survivable. We haven't heard if they're retaining the defense 15 or dodge change that was talked about at Lock and Load. No, we're talking about Wolf Riders for the comment in the chat. Just to go over it real quick again, they're losing Assault. They're going up to 1220 as a point cost, gaining dual attack, backstab, and jump. And then Prowl on the champion, as well as those other rules, and leadership Prowl, so gives Prowl to the the Wolf Riders that are nearby. These are really, really neat changes. I think this puts the Wolf Riders in a pretty cool place, assuming that these rules actually go through as discussed today. Obviously, this is CID talk, so we don't know how that's going to work out, but as of now, that's the comments. Hopefully, I see a note that the stream is offline. Hopefully, YouTube's yelling at me. Hopefully, we bounce back here in a second. I was showing green. I'm gonna try to power through for now, and hopefully we get enough into the stream. I really don't know what's going on with my internet. Question is, how's my Kruger Hill list looking? Looks like we're back, hopefully. Pretty good. I actually played it this past weekend. I talked about it in a video that posted yesterday, but my stream is not complete. This is really frustrating. Okay, so sorry about the starting and stopping to those of you watching. I don't know what's going on. I don't really have time to fix it. I'm gonna try to power through and wrap this up actually quickly, and I'll be doing a longer episode next week. So, question about the Kruger Hill list. It's looking pretty strong. I think the changes talked about today make it even stronger. I think some of the lists that I've played and thought about playing the Wolf Riders with are looking even stronger, and all of these changes make me really, really excited to see Iona and get her on the table to start testing. Just to talk through a few of the other things that have changed. Lord of the Feast looks to be probably losing overtake from what we heard at Lock and Load. I guess there was a lot of dead models from the developers, and it looked a little bit too strong. I'm concerned. I think if anywhere there needs to be more testing considered, it's definitely going to be with Lord of the Feast, because I think for 7 points he's not good enough probably with where he's been announced. I think he is good. He will need some table time, because I could be mistaken on some of that, but I have my concerns. And then really quick, the Devourer's Host theme we already know is changing, so you could take a free solo of any kind that was Tharn, so that lets us take the Wolf Rider Champ for free. But we're also trading the snacking benefit to give 1 unit of Bloodweaver's Ambush, which should be really good and obviously very thematic for this theme to gain that. Plus we know the Bloodweavers are getting an attachment, so that's pretty exciting. And the other things mentioned were basically that the Wall of Orboros is slated to be part of this CID. Most of the things from Lock and Load are still on the docket, and no, they're not planning to pull in any constructs. If any questions pop up here real quick as I'm wrapping up, I will try to get them answered. The stream is showing green on YouTube, and it's sporadically showing as not green on OBS. So if I get any more questions here in the next couple seconds, I'll try to throw them out. Otherwise, just as I'm waiting for those, obviously, throw any comments on the video into Facebook, Discord, Twitter, wherever you might find me. I will certainly discuss some of these potential changes and what we should possibly be considering doing some testing with. Yeah. So I'll give that just a second. But if I don't get any questions pretty soon, I'm probably going to wrap it up. Thanks. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and start wrapping up. Again, if you have questions, just hit me up. Certainly before next week, because I'll try to get, if they're pertinent to the full drop of the CID, I'll try to get them in there. Thank you for bearing with the technical difficulties. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble getting consistent uploads tonight, but that seems to be the case. So thanks for watching, and we will see you later.